Alright, welcome back everybody. So now that we're back here, if your ragdoll's still red, just, right click it and make it, yellow just to actually place it because you didn't place it beforehand. So now what you want to do is you want to click the skeleton and you want to click edit. And now what you want to do here, I'm saying now what you want to do multiple times, Jesus, what's wrong with me, is you want to imagine your own body. So for example, here are his toes, correct? When you move your foot up, where's the most movement? It would be right around here for this player model. So what you want to do is you want to hit B, or rather hit A if you see anything that's highlighted. So A, B, B again, and you want to move the green one. The green one moves it in a, I believe, a Z axis. X it would be red and Y would be yellow. So just move it to where you want his feet to most bend, and please make sure that there's another little bone under it. Make sure that this is always down, because if it's up, then the foot in game will be twisted, because this is where this is basically the default position of the foot, and this is where the main, it's going to consider it a whole toe where it's going to move or where it's going to stay. So if you have this up, the toe is going to be up. If you have it to the left, the toe is going to be twisted to the left. So make sure it's always down like this. So this one is good. This one needs to be moved a little bit more to the right. So let's move it more to the right. And a little bit more. Let's make sure it's centered. The other one seems to be alright. Alright, so now we're fine. So now we need to just fix up the ankles. So again, I can of course time lapse it, but I'd rather have you all experience this with me. So let's just put it like in the middle. It's sticking out a little bit, so let's, you can zoom in. You can always go inside the body to see where your point of reference is. So let's move it just inward just a bit more. Let's do the same with the other one. Move it up a bit. And then inward a bit more. What you can do is you can always hit view, and then you can see it from the left side. And you see it's a little bit off, so let's just fix that just a tad there. Now they should both be aligned, and then you hit A. Alright, so they should both be aligned. Let's look at it from the other side. So the right, it's not exactly the same, so again, you can fix it to be 100% safe. So there you go. But they still should both be centered, so this one needs to be a little bit more centered. And this one looks just about right. So that's where the whole ankle would be moving. It should say right here. It should always say on the skeleton. Well, it doesn't say the ankle. This is just the right foot, and then this is the toe. So this is where the right foot's going to be moving, and part of the ankle. Now here would be the knees, or actually, yeah, the calves. But basically the knees. So right now, these actually look in a good position. I don't think I should mess with these right now. They look just fine. I hit Z, by the way. Z makes me look at the whole mesh itself. So the knee should be right around here. These look about right. Maybe just a little bit forward and down. Yeah, should be fine. Now we want to look at the hips. The hips look fine. Pelvis looks okay. This spine should be moved up a little bit. That spine should be moved up a little bit. That spine should also be moved up a little bit. So should the rest of the body. Alright, so all of this needs to be moved up just a tad, because the head needs to be connected to, well, the head. So I believe this is the neck. No, this is the head. This is just the forward means it's the forward motion, like for the mouth, you would say, but you really don't need it if you're going to have a file flex, which is what we do have. So the head needs to be up here. The neck needs to be where the neck is. So let's move this all up. Make sure not to get the pelvis on accident. So let's move it all up. There we go. That looks about right. Yeah, you see? Now it looks much more, better. Here are the clavicle, I guess you could say. I usually just say the shoulder blades. Yep, the spine's just in a good position. You can move it a little bit up or down if you want. I suggest to just leave it alone. Always move them all together and never separate. The shoulder should be here. The shoulders actually look in a really good position. So this model is actually not that bad. So now what we want to do is we want to fix the left and right arm. So left first, or right, doesn't matter. I just said left, so we want this right where the elbow is going to be, which should be like in the middle, because this is the upper arm. Oh, and if you need a reference point, you can always go back to the old one, which is why I kept it. Delete this one. File, import, source engine, back, badasses, models, Joshers, badasses, player models, decompiled, and you want to hit the one that has the closed, no, not the arms, the suit closed tie, because that basically shows you where, you know, it should be. So as you can see, it's like right before the elbow ends. Here's the bone. Here's in the middle, which I believe that's actually the, because some models have biceps here, where the biceps move independently, and some have another one here, which is forearm, I believe. This is the ulna, however. The ulna doesn't necessarily matter. You can delete this bone. But if you want to keep it, you can keep it. I'm probably going to delete it, as we don't need an ulna. We just need the forearm, the hand, and the shoulder. The shoulder's gonna, or the upper arm's gonna move all this. The forearm's gonna move all this. So let me say it again. Upper arm, all this. Forearm, all this. Again, if you need a reference point, you can always just hit pose mode, which is what we're gonna do. Shift, right click on the skeleton and hit weight paint. And as you can see, the forearm is going to move all this. As you can see here, the ulna, the bone is useless. It's not being used anywhere. Right now, that's just me coloring, but it's not being used anywhere. So, forearm, right before the elbow. Upper arm, little... Actually, that's like right in the middle of the shoulder and moving away from it. So, let's check our player model real quick. Ours... This would be the upper arm, yeah. So this actually needs to be moved just a tad this way. Actually, the whole thing needs to be moved a tad this way, so... Because it's not reaching the... That looks about right. Yeah, that looks about right. So that's like on point. This, however, needs to be moved like right around here. There's the elbow. That should be fine. Yeah, that's fine. Seeing as this is useless, you can delete it, because we won't be needing the ulna. The ulna is not that important. So now here would be the upper arm, and if you notice how this hand is pointing downward, what you can do is you can go down here and you can rotate it. So let's rotate it. Let's just try to get it as best as we can, like the other model. So right around there. We'll fix up the individual bones anyways. And now we just move it up and move it this way to where the wrist is. And here we go. You know, we'll fix up these bones right now in a bit. And the reason why I'm doing this tutorial, and I guess I should say it now, is because I saw somebody else's tutorial. I think it was Timbleweebs. Please watch his. He does an amazing job, better than I do. But here, he deletes all the hand bones. It doesn't work on the hands. So the hands are just flat and broken. And when you're working on a player model, they need to hold guns. They need to use their fingers, etc., etc. So you need to keep these finger bones. I am not an expert when it comes to these finger bones, so mine are always broken and crooked. But maybe there's someone out there who does it better. I'm just going to keep this within my tutorial to at least help you guys out. So now that this hand's done, now I want to go back to the other hand, or rather arm, I should say. Let's move this here, on point. That looks about fine. It actually looks just a bit lower than the other one, huh? Just a tad. About right there. Move this up to the right, so let's say to the left, because everything you own is in the box to the left. Anyways, we want to rotate it again till it looks on point. By the way, if you get this error, like you click it and it won't move, then don't worry about the top half circle. Worry about the bottom of the half circle. If you get that problem, that happens to me multiple times. Just worry about the opposite end of the half circle. So here's the top half. Here's the bottom half. Just worry about the other half that doesn't give you this stupid little like pointer cursor thing. So let's try to fix it as best as we can. Now, is that on the wrist? A little bit more back. Where's the right? There we go. Interesting. Interesting. The finger. All right, so now let's start on the hands, because this seems to be not that bad. So let's go check this one on the left real quick to see if the wrist is centered. The wrist is not centered. So let's only move the wrist, because the thumbs that are right here right now seem to be like in a really good spot. So now let's mess with the left hand first, since we started with it. This bone seems to be just fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But we can move it just a little bit. This is where your thumb and the webbing of the thumb moves. The next one would be the upper part of the thumb, and the bottom would be like where the joint is of the thumb. So this is the upper part of the thumb, not the webbing. And you got to make sure they're always like within the mesh itself. This whole thing is called a mesh, which is the player model. And then the bone of the thumb, which is like right there. Maybe a little bit back, because you don't want the bone to move with where the weight paint is. You want it to move just a little bit behind the weight paint. I apologize if I do mute myself from here or there. I am coughing. I have asthma, so I do need an inhaler from time to time. And no, I'm not lazy. I actually like to work out. Anyways. So as you can see here would be where the knuckles are. But again, you can always just move all of them if you want. So these actually seem to be in a pretty good position. Not all of them. Most of them. So move this back a little bit. Now move them up, I should say. So move them up. A little bit forward. Always make sure they're like right behind the knuckle. So this first one's like kind of on the knuckle, kind of behind it. That's fine. This one on the other hand. And I know, I forgot to move this one, but it's fine. This one needs to be moved a little bit more up as well, because the knuckle's getting higher, a little bit back. Whoops, they also need to be moved. You can Control Z, by the way, if you made a mistake. There we go. These seem to be a little bit alright, a little bit off. Not that great, so let's move these back as well. Whoops. And, alright, so if that happens, just right click. I don't know how I caused that, honestly. I think it's A. Hold up, give me a second. No, it's not A. I honestly don't know how I caused that. Oh, there we go, S. So when you hit S, you just right click and it should go back. If you left click, then you're gonna where the bones are moved, they're gonna be there. So that's not what you want. So as you can see, this one isn't within the mesh. So let's just move it down. Look at it back up from the top. See where it is. Fix it in place. Same thing for the other ones. The other ones seem to be within the mesh. This one seems to be lower. So let's raise that back up. Don't make sure they're it's really hard to explain, but just make sure they're a little bit above the mesh, not necessarily centered. And remember, you can always go back to the old model and this one doesn't have the hands, but you can always just import the hands and you can see where they place it. So now that the knuckles are done, now we got to go with the second joints of the fingers. I don't know what they're called. I don't need to worry about the human body. So now there, it's a little bit lower, up, back, to the right. Okay. These need to be way more up. So up, a little bit forward. So these two up. A little bit forward. This one also a little bit back. So since I always call it the middle finger, is the middle finger is always the longest finger, so it's always going to be, it's never going to be proportionate to the rest. Neither is the pinky, but these two should be around the same. The index and the ring finger should be about the same. So for here, you want to put it where the finger, or rather where the last joint is, like just right behind it. And the same goes for this one. Right around where the last joint is. Don't worry about this bone, by the way. Don't worry about this bone, worry about this bone. This bone is the one that needs the placement, the one that has a line attached to it. With this bone, what you want to do is you want to move it under it like this, facing down. Again, the reason why is because it needs to be facing down. If this was up, this finger would be bent, you know, this way in like a crescent shape, which is not what we want. Whoops, I hit S, but nothing happened because there was no other bone attached to it. So it didn't move any other bone. These are fine, but what you can do to be safe is you can always just, you know, fix them in place. That's what I'm going to do. Fix them in place. Same goes for this one. This one goes up. Move a little bit closer. This one goes down. Right around there. Yeah, that seems to be the good spot. So just keep doing this for the rest of the bones. I'm probably going to do the same. For the thumb, the thumbs actually seem to be okay for now because they still need to curve inward, but if you want them flat, you can always just flatten them. If they don't work out in the player model, you can always just come back and fix them. You can always save, so remember to save. So file, and then just save as and save wherever you want. Since this is a tutorial, I'm not going to be spastic saving, so this bone is a little bit off, so let's move it over here. That should be, whoop. That should be fine. Alright, so this here. This is for the attachments for, like, guns and stuff, where they're going to be attached. If you move it all the way down here, the gun's going to be here. So what you want to do is you want to move it as close to the palm as you can, but give it about a few inches off. So, like about there's fine. A little bit closer up. This does not need to be weight painted, by the way. No weight paint has to go in the attachment. Remember that. No weight paint needed for the attachment. Alright, for the wrist, that's fine. This little L shape is fine. It should be the opposite. It should be like this for the other arm. For here, it's fine. Let's fix up the pinky again. I did not fix up these fingers. That's right. So let's fix these up. Like about right there. There's the bone. Move this down. Move this back a little bit like this. Always rotate the camera to make sure it's nice and fine. If not, it's going to be in some weird position that you didn't check. What you can always do, you can always hit view and then just, you know, do these again, or control numpad, etc. You know, everything has a shortcut. But not everybody uses it to their advantage. I know I don't. I don't know why I don't use the shortcuts when I really should. But that's just me. That's just how I work within, you know, making player models. So back here, back here. As you can see, it's a little off from the top, so a little bit there. It does not have to be perfect. Just good enough. Well, for me, it has to be good enough. For you, it may have to be perfect, since I'm just doing this for, you know, tutorial's sake. So there we go. That looks about fine. It doesn't have to be a straight line, just good enough. For me, I will fix it, though. Just for you guys. There we go. This isn't a line, so should be just right. Now for the knuckles, I don't necessarily mess with them, but to be safe, if you still want the line, you can always just do the line. The knuckles are they're just one of the weird parts to work with, so. And there we go, one hand down. And trust me, the fingers are like the worst part about it. The index finger is a little bit off though, so let's move this back. And up. Yeah. See? Okay, so there. One hand done. And now I'm going to need to do it with the other hand, but you guys already know how it works. I'll probably just time-lapse the other hand, so I won't actually, you know, not show you footage. So, time-lapse is going to start now. Alright, so I'm just going to stop the time-lapse here. I'm just going back, you know, just using this one as a point of reference. This actually needs to move a little bit more down. I'm just using this as a point of reference, so it should be around the outer edges. So, point of reference, try to fix it up here too. And before I start the time-lapse again, over here, after I'm done with this, that should be about right. You can see that there's two. There's this here, which is the faceplate attachment, which I don't know what that is. I've never worked with that bone. And then here's like, I guess another gun attachment, but almost all characters are right-handed. Did I call this a left hand in the beforehand? Well, I'm an idiot. Anyways, well, with the right hand, guns are always right hand because, you know, they're right-handed. With the left hand, I would assume it's during animation. So you just wanna follow the same thing you did with the gun hand. Just think of it as another hand for the gun. So same place, you know, a little bit up, a little bit to the left, near the palm. For the faceplate, on the other hand, I've never worked with this. But you can always just, you know, merge it with the other one because I've honestly never worked with this. I've never had this type of bone, so I'm just gonna put it in the same area as this one. So remember, get the bone with the line, which is the one in the bottom here. Yeah, and that looks about fine. Alright, so I did move this, you know, arm a little bit up during the time lapse. Again, you can follow what I'm doing. You don't have to. It's all your choice. Actually, for this, we should move this a little bit to the left too, because that's where they should be. So that to the left, this to the right. Because these should be where your shoulder blades are and where it moves. They were a little too close. They were too close to the neck, I would say. Alright, so back to the time lapse on the left hand. Me being an idiot and calling this the right. Alright, and I'm back, everybody. So, here is, the quote-unquote final product. Again, this isn't perfect. If you have problems with yours, you can always just go back and, fix these. So, make sure you save this blend. And now that we're done here, you basically just, set up the skeleton, right? Since this was a long video, I guess this will be its own entire video. So this was all just basically setting up the bones and the skeleton. I don't know how long this video is, since I'm going to be time-lapsing it. So there you go. Everything's set up. Just make sure, it's all right. It's all good. It feels nice. This is just my choice, but I'm going to raise up the spine just a little bit. Again, my choice. This spine as well, just a tad, make it half and half. This is me, because here's the pelvis, so it's just going to move this. This is going to move the belt area. This is going to move the stomach area, you could say. This is going to move the rest of the chest, and this is going to move the upper part of the chest. A lot of models don't have a spine 3, which is located around here, but not every model needs a spine 3. So everything here looks fine. This is going to move all of this, under part of the leg. The pelvis is going to move, the rest of the pelvis. So everything looks good. We look good to go. Now, the one final thing you need to do is you need to merge it with the mesh. Because if you move this, it's just going to move by itself. So if you go to pose mode here, and you try to move it, it's not going to move with the mesh because there's nothing attached to it. So let's Control Z this, and what you want to do is you want to go to Object Mode. You want to click on the mesh, and you want to Shift click on the skeleton, and you want to click Control P. And from here, what you can do is you can go to Armature Deform, which gives it no weight painting at all. It gives it no weight painting whatsoever to work with, which is what I do, so I can make my own custom weight paints. But if you want, to have an idea of where the weight paint should be, you can go with automatic weights. So right now it's doing it for me. Let's go back to the pose mode, and let's move this now. As you can see, the mesh moves with it, but now all of this here and this here moves, which is what shouldn't be happening. So now let's just check, and now we'll see what's going on. So let's go to pose mode, Shift click on the skeleton, or on the mesh, and then weight paint. And as you can see, it's getting a lot of this weird stuff that it shouldn't be getting. Alright, but we'll edit this entirely. The fingers, every time you weight paint, the fingers should be fine. So the next episode will be all about weight painting, and I'll show you, how and what to do. So thank you everybody so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this quote-unquote time-lapse video. Please do subscribe. It really does mean a lot to me. Comment to see what I can do to help you if you're having a problem. And I hope you enjoy. Peace out, guys.